Hi guys and gals, Amy here with Amy's Wares, and today I have another card featuring some of the amazing products from the August release at Colorful Life Designs. You can see here I'm showing you the Mountain Edger #1. This is just one of several mountain edgers, as well as many other landscapes to make lovely cards, and it's all part of the August release at a Colorful Life Designs. So it's super innovative, the possibilities are endless, and I definitely recommend you check it out because there is just so much to it and I'm so excited about it. So as you can see, I'm just using the bottom part of the one stencil, and that's all I use here today, and I'm simply using it to follow that shape of the edge with the brush tip on my Copic markers. So I have just 4 basic colors here. You will see that I do decide to add purple, but it couldn't be more simple, right? I mean, I'm using the magnets on my 1D Vacuum Station tool to hold down the piece of Mylar, and I'm just tracing carefully along the edge. So you can see it's not perfect. Some edges are a little bit thicker than others, and that's okay. If you keep it consistent, it makes it easier to cover up the line that you just drew with the stencil, but really it doesn't matter. This is just another kind of out-of-the-box way to use these clever, innovative stencils, and also use your markers too. If maybe you're not super comfortable with them yet, or you're just learning how to use your Copics, this could be a fun and easy way to bust those out. So you could really do these with any kind of marker, I would imagine, any type of alcohol marker that you have in your stash. So I'm just working my way through a basic rainbow, not a full rainbow, but I'm moving up the stencil every time I make a line so I can cover the color that I just laid down. And then that helps me keep them side by side and using that same shape for every color. So like I said, very simple. Here I add the purple, and that's all the colors that I end up using for the rainbow. Obviously you could use whatever colors you wanted. I just thought this would be a fun, clean and simple way to use one of the stencils. If you wanted to do something different, maybe not with ink blending or other ways that you might traditionally use these. Now this release, I actually did a video featuring the products and also demoing some of them in a more traditional ink blending way. So I'll link that up in the top right corner if you want to check that out. There's actually a part 1 and part 2 of that video. In the first one, I kind of show you the products from the line. It's a very big release. And then I also, in the second one, will complete some finished cards. So check those videos out if you haven't already. You can see here I'm just kind of filling in little spots where there may have been little gaps, easy enough to do by hand. And I want to give it a nice finished edge, so I used my wonky stitch dies from My Favorite Things. So I'm just deciding what size I want. I want to take it down a little bit smaller from a standard A2 size panel, just to give it a little bit of a border around the edge and give it a nice finished look. So I'm just taking off the temporary low tack tape. That's the mint tape from scrapbook.com. You can see it gives that nice finished edge. I just love that look. Then here I'm showing you can use some alcohol. I have 91% alcohol in that little spray bottle, I believe, but I just sprayed some on a paper towel, and you can wipe that right along the edge if you got any marker on your stencil, and it comes right off. No problem at all. And then check this out. Isn't this amazing? This is the new stamp set. So Colorful Life Designs has in the past only had stencils, but Mary Kay has decided to start having clear stamps in her lineup. So she created this sentiment stamp set. It's a 4x4, and it has sentiments that are perfect for this release. They complement these stencils so beautifully. You can kind of mix and match them. You can create all sorts of different landscapes. I mean, these sentiments are gorgeous on their own too, to be honest. So you'll see I'm just kind of loading those in my Misty, kind of figuring out, you know, which stamp I wanted to use for this card panel. And I decided to do them, stamp them separately because I wanted that lower line to get as close as possible to the top line. So I really like that she split the sentiment into 2 pieces because that would work really well for like a slimline card, or if you want it in different places on the composition, I think it's great that it's two separate pieces. So I just inked up the one and stamped it, and then removed it and lined up the second part of the sentiment as close as I could to the first line. And you can see it fits really well with the shape of the mountain. I was really pleased how well those sentiments kind of nestled in there. And I'm just using a VersaFine black pigment ink. That is my go-to ink for anything stamping, especially with little words or sentiments or anything with fine details, because it's a nice crisp black ink, and it really does the job, especially with any word sentiments. So just stamp that a couple times. That's the beauty of the stamp platform. If I don't get it as dark as I want, I can just stamp it up again and clean it off, and there we go with that. Now I decided I wanted to tie in the black of the sentiment, so I pulled out this little 6x6 paper pad from My Favorite Things with all these little polka dots, and I'm just figuring out what size polka dot I want. I ended up going with one of the smaller ones just because there's not going to be a huge border around the edge of that panel, because I am just going to mount it on an A2 size card base. So I knew there wasn't going to be a lot of room, and those big dots really wouldn't show very much. So I cut a piece down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 just so it would completely cover the front of my card base. And I adhered that down with some adhesive and attached that right to the card base. And then I wanted some dimension, so I did get some scrapbook.com foam tape and decided to put that on the back pretty generously on the back of the panel to pop that up on top of the card base. So that's what you'll see me doing here. Now this stuff is super sticky, stickier than my Scotch foam tape. I'm not sure why, but you'll see I do end up deciding to put some liquid glue down after I remove the backer, and that gives you a little bit of wiggle room and a little bit of ability to move your panel around if you don't have it lined up quite perfectly. And I was struggling a little bit to get this straight, and it's really important to get it straight, especially when you don't have much of a margin around the outside. You wanted those dots to be able to show. So you can see here after I move it, I'm just kind of struggling not getting it down quite right, and not really trusting that I'm not fixing to ruin the whole card. So this is where I opted to just put down some liquid glue and save myself the trouble. So if you have a hard time lining it up and you're using a foam tape like this that is so sticky, this is a little tip here for you, just to kind of give yourself a little bit more ability to move it around if you need to. So I just lined that up, popped it up with some dimension, and I love white space. I'm all about clean and simple, but this needed some bling. So just fixing a little mistake here with my sand eraser. I probably stuck my finger in the pigment ink before it was dry. Shocker. I seem to do that quite a bit. But anyway, cleaning that up, and then I decided to bust out some glam here. So I'm looking at these kind of white sequins and clear iridescent ones, and I decided to go with those. And get my little picking tool and my little jewelry dish, kind of figure out where I want to place the bling on the front of the card. Kind of use the dish for the smaller ones because I find those are, obviously harder to pick up. So I'm using odd numbers. I always either use 3 or 5 or 7 typically when it comes to the gems that I put on the card. I like to do little groupings of 3 and 2 typically. That's usually my jam here. So I'm just kind of moving those around, figuring out exactly where I want them. And then pulled out my Ranger multi-medium mat. And here I'm, blowing a blood vessel, trying to squeeze that thing. I don't know why I struggle so much with these. I just cannot get the glue out. So yeah, struggling to get the glue out, struggling to get the sequin to stick. So, oh well, it's all well in the end. It ended up working out. So here I'll show you the finished card. It's clean and simple, just another way you can use your awesome stencils from this release. Definitely recommend checking out the rest of it. There is so much amazingness in this August release. So don't forget to use my coupon AmyFan10 if you shop and save 10% on your complete order. If you enjoyed my video today, I would love if you hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you hit the bell, you'll be reminded anytime I post a new video. So thanks again for supporting my channel and have a great day.